Nothing's gonna be the same, 'cause we moving on up. Gotta get our heads back in the game, and we really won't stop. Just like the sun, we rise again, and feel the wind on my face. And I will run, and I won't fade till I reach it.
Yes, we rise. Blessings and greetings to everyone. Thank you for joining us again at another Faith and Finance podcast evening, another Tuesday evening, where we come to reset our minds and our hearts so that we can build financial legacy. I am your host, Michelle Otley, and I am pleased again to be able to be here. It is truly a blessing, and yes, so I'm very, very thankful to be here this evening once again. So we will get straight into what we're going to be doing today. I have a word today, and I hope it's going to be a blessing. All right. Hope it's going to be a blessing. So we will get right into it this evening. But again, I welcome you there to everyone to Faith and Finance Reset. You know, we're going to dive into one of the most eye-opening and life-fulfilling changing financial principle in the Bible, because it's about faith and finance. So there's a principle I would like to discuss today. It is a principle that, when I was in growing up in church and different things, even in certain schools, we would hear about this. It's something that we've all heard, and when I really get into the meat of it, you will know that it's a principle that we have all heard, and it's a biblical story that we all know. So it's the Joseph principle, saving in seasons of plenty. That's kind of where I'm coming from today. We prepared because we are people that is very driven, but we are very consumer based driven. So we're not really preparing and prepared for what's ahead. There wasn't much thought about financial legacy building or leaving a financial legacy. So today I'm going to be getting into some of Joseph's principles in terms of being prepared, all right, in the season of plenty, and being prepared knowing that there might be famine. There's certain things happening. I went to the store today and I picked up a few things because I wanted to make a video to show how much it costs for a few things now versus then. And I didn't buy it for the family. I just bought it for me, for one person. And it amazed me because I bought just a little bit of, just to see, right? Maybe I'll still do the video, but I bought just a few grapes, 2 apples, some organic blueberries, because I try to eat organic as much as possible, organic blueberries, and one more thing. Oh, and some bananas. And it was like $20. And I was like, wow. And this is just, I bought it in mind for one person. Versus if you were buying for a family. So this is where we're at now. That $20 back in a few years ago would have been, even pre-COVID, would have been able to feed a whole family for the week on fruits. You would have been able to get bananas, grapes, a few things to feed the family. But now, yeah. So being prepared, the Joseph principle, saving in seasons of plenty, so that you will have when the seasons of farming comes. Are you prepared? I'm asking this question as I launch in this word this evening. Are you prepared? I want to talk to you heart and heart today, because to many of us, even believers, we are blessed. A lot of people are blessed, but and or we go around saying we are blessed and we are highly favored. We shout over our overflow, but but there's no savings, right? There's no plan for no future plan. We say God will provide, but we refuse to plan. I've said this many, many times, but I am going to continue to repeat that God will provide does not negate having a plan. God will provide, but God asks us to pray for wisdom. He asks us he wants us to have wisdom. And so Joseph's story reminds us that God's provision is meant to be managed and not wasted. So it's not God will provide, consume. God will provide, don't plan. God will provide, just do whatever you want to do. And God will provide in terms of famine and in terms of plenty. No, God give you plenty. God give us plenty. There's a time of blessing. And in the time of blessing, God is expecting us to be mindful and purposeful and apply the Joseph principle to our lives to save in the seasons of plenty, so that when the time comes for famine, when it's lack season, then you have something. Look at the ants, right? They know winter is coming, and what do? They put away so that when winter comes, they are prepared. They don't have to come up. They stay underground, right? They're prepared. And so we ought to be prepared because we are supposed to be wiser than the ants, right? So Joseph's story reminds us that God's provision is meant to be managed and not wasted. I want to really lean into this episode, just shift the way we see money and faith forever, hopefully, right? Hopefully. So in Genesis 41, Pharaoh had a dream that disturbed his spirit. 7 fat cows devoured by 7 skinny cows. And no one understood that dream except for David. I'm not going to go into everything, right? Nobody understood the dream except for David. Through divine wisdom, except for Joseph. Through divine wisdom, Joseph said, there will be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. And then he said something powerful in Genesis 41, 34 to 36. He said, let Pharaoh appoint, this is wisdom. Joseph was using wisdom. He said, let Pharaoh appoint officers and take up the 5th part of the land in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all the food. That food shall be for store for the land against the 7 years of famine. So while there was plenty, he was saying, store up, because they knew a famine was going to be coming. And so for us, the prices are raising, we're getting older, different things are happening. So you need to have something, because it's like when you can't work. Last week I spoke about aging and being prepared. When you can't work as hard as you used to work, and then you can't bring in as much as you used to bring in, then what are you going to do? So in the time when you are vibrant and young and full of energy, that's the time when you are supposed to put away something for when the famine comes. And the famine may come in different ways, but famine is famine, and you need to be prepared. So are you prepared? Are you prepared for getting older? Are you prepared for if you fall ill and you can't work? Are you prepared if you need to retire? How are you going to retire? Where are you going to live? What are you going to do? Are you prepared if there's a famine? Are you prepared if there's a drought? Are you prepared? And I mean that in the context of our lives, not just literally a drought, no water, not literally famine, no food, but are you prepared in terms of looking at it from a life perspective and a financial perspective? So that's where many of us fall short. We celebrate the raise, we celebrate the refund, tax refund, or the bonuses, the businesses. We spend it like the famine will never come. And here Joseph's principle teaches us that no, when there is plenty is when you must save for when the time of lack comes. with every, you know, the world has a system, and in this system sometimes there's a lot going on. There's prosperity, businesses are booming, and then all of a sudden, due to inflation and different things, the economy crashes somewhere somehow, and what happens? The recession. And so what happens? Most times people are not prepared for a recession. Thank God we haven't seen a depression in decades. What if we were to see a depression right now? I don't know what's going to happen, because people do not prepare for then. They only live in the now, and living in the now is like at the era of consumption, or consumers, right, and not prosumers. So right now I'm asking the question: are you prepared? Are you prepared? And if you are not prepared, are you willing to be able today, after today, to develop the mindset of reset so that you can be prepared in plenty for the season where there may be lack in some way, or you may just not be able to work as hard as you used to, but you still have a need. It doesn't matter how old we get, we still will need food, we still will need shelter and transportation. So are you prepared? Will you be prepared? And what are you doing to be prepared? So when Joseph had plenty, he didn't waste it. He didn't splurge. He strategized. He saved and he stored. Save and store. Save and store. We must save and store. Right? You heard things about, if you read books or you listen to podcasts, and in terms of finances, they always speak about having emergency funds and saving 3 to 6 months of expenses in case something happens, in case you lose your job. Are you prepared? Let me ask you that question. If you were to lose your job today, how would you survive the next 3 to 6 months? I did not say the next 3 to 6 years. I'm asking, are you prepared that if something happens, that you could not work tomorrow and for the next 3 to 6 months, are you prepared financially? How will you survive? How will you live? How will you provide food and shelter for yourself and for your family? And this is what Joseph's principle is all about today. And this is why I wanted to bring this word today, that we must be wise when we have plenty, so that we can, when the time comes when we cannot work as hard or as much, or when the time comes where the changes begin to come, as we see changes are going on in the land now, we are prepared because we have saved a little and we have stored something and put it aside for a rainy day. Because guess what happens? The rain will come. The only problem is that some people are not prepared for the rain. When the rain comes, you see some people running in the rain, getting wet and soaked. And sometimes they become sick because they got wet and soaked. And you see some people who know to look at the weather forecast, they come out with an umbrella, so they are covered. And so the Joseph principle is really saying, be covered. You get that umbrella, that financial umbrella that covers you, prepares you by putting down a little of everything and all that you make. I didn't say much. I'm using the principle of the richest man in Babylon. A little, some of all you make is yours to keep, right? So ask yourself these questions and be very honest today. What did I do the last time I got a financial breakthrough? Did I multiply it or did I mismanage it? Did I invest in my future or impress people for a moment? And we do know that most times when we get a financial breakthrough, we either buy a bigger house, a newer car, we go on a shopping spree and we buy all kind of nice clothes and shoes, because we tell ourselves that, listen, I was working hard and I didn't have, and I couldn't buy, and now I get a little more. And the first thing we do is we run off and we begin to purchase, we begin to consume. But really what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to save and we are supposed to store for a rainy day, right? Have our umbrellas ready for when it rains. We can be covered so we won't get wet, soaked, drenched, and maybe even become sick, stressed, depressed, discouraged, because we are not covered in the times of famine and we are not covered in the times of rain. So Proverbs 21:20 says, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man, and I'm going to add, the word says a foolish man, but I dare to add, a foolish man or woman spent it all up. The foolish man or woman eats all his seed. The wise man saves some to plant again. You see, without the seed, there ain't no planting. There is no fruit to be bared. So a foolish man eats all his seed, but a wise man saves some to plant. So you must not eat all your seed. You must plant some of your seed so that it will grow. So that when it grows, you can have more fruit. So you can eat again, plant again. Eat again, plant again. So a foolish man is the man that eats his seed. So moving forward, little by little, every little make a muckle. Every little make a muckle. Little by little, little by little. All right? If you use $10, $5, whatever, but put aside something for the rainy day. Are you prepared? And if you're not prepared, will you begin to put something away? And you see, again, I would repeat, we have to stop just praying for abundance and live with no plan. The word of God tells us in Habakkuk 2 to write the vision down and make it plain, so he that reads it could run with it. You're the one that has to read that vision and that plan that you will put in place so you could run with it to do what you need to do. Can't ask God to make you a lender when you're spending like a borrower, and you can't build a financial legacy on just without saving anything, without having anything. A lot of people don't like leftovers, but I'm telling you something. Leftovers in the financial world is build. It helps you to build wealth and to be in control later on in life. When it comes to finances, love leftovers. Leftovers is very important. If you don't want to eat leftover food, that's fine. But when it comes to finances, you got to leave something. Something must be left over, because in the times of plenty, okay, you will have a lot. So you can take some of that to put it for the time of famine. So let's be real. We live in a generation that doesn't like to wait for anything. We want it now. That's why, we want the house, the car, the clothes now. But here's the truth. You can't build wealth with an instant mindset. So leftover is okay, right? If preparing and being prepared by leaving something for a rainy day, that's okay. Delayed gratification, that's okay. Every dollar you save today is a seed for tomorrow. Seed time and harvest is important. There must be seed time in order to have harvest. So the question today is, are you prepared? Do you have seed to plant, or did you have seed that you didn't plant? And if so, what are you going to do with the seed that you have today, so that way you can plant it so that you can have fruit for tomorrow? Every sacrifice you make today is a shield for your future, for our future. A shield, a covering. And we need to be covered. We need to have that umbrella. The umbrella works when the sun is really hot too. It gives you shade. It gives you shelter. It gives you protection. See, when Joseph saved grain, it didn't look like much. It was just piles of wheat. And sometimes that's how we look at things. It's like it's nothing. But when famine hit, those stacks of wheat became salvation. It became hope. It became life to not just a few people, but many people. Generations were saved because of that. Family, what are you stacking today? When the famine comes, whether it's a job loss, that's what I'm saying. The famine is relevant to our lives, not just about, not being able to plant and the sun is hot and animals dying. They what it means to have a famine. There's no food, there's lack, right? The crops does not grow. But famine in our season could mean a job loss. Famine could mean illness, inflation, economic crisis. What will your household have to fall back on? What will you have to fall back on if there's a famine? If your business has to go bankrupt, what would you do, and what have you done in case there's a famine in your life? Are you prepared today? And if you're not, what will you do? Let me tell you something. There was a time when I didn't, just like I'm saying, I thought I'll figure it out later. But later always comes faster than you think. And it came faster than I thought in my life, in many reasons. Job losses, this, that, the other things came. And in many circumstances, if I was not prepared, I don't know where I would have been. So I just continue to endeavor to be prepared now. And this is why I come on and I try to say the things that I'm saying, not because I want to tell people that they are wrong, and not because I want to tell people that they are not doing the right things, but because I have experienced the very things that I'm talking to you about. Because of experience and because of how hard it is to experience certain things. That's why I'm here. I don't want anybody to go through some of the things that I have personally had to go through. And even if you're going through it now, I want you to know that you can turn it around. You can change the mindset. You can reset the order and you can change things around. Because famine is more than just not having crops. It's losing a job. It's inflation, it's economic crisis, it's illness, it's divorce, it's a lot of different things. A lot of different things on a lot of different levels that can leave you without shelter, that can leave you uncovered, that can leave you bare to the elements, and it's not a good place to be. So faith isn't just believing God will provide. Faith is using wisdom to prepare for how he will and when he does. When God provides, we need to have faith to manage that which God, wisdom to manage that which God has given us. We talk about the man with the talent. I'm only talking about the one that got one talent. He didn't mismanage it, but he certainly didn't manage it either. To the point that what he had, the one that he had, was given to someone else who had 5. So management is very important. Wisdom is very important. And so all I am saying is please manage, right track, make a budget, watch what you do, watch how you spend, because regardless of how hot the sun is right now outside, it will rain. And if you're prepared and you have your umbrella, you wouldn't get wet. You will be protected. So saving doesn't mean you doubt God. Saving means you trust him enough to manage what he has already given, so that when he gives you some more, you will continue to manage it and he will get the glory because you are using wisdom. You will not squander that which he is blessing you with. I don't believe that God likes us to squander or wants us to squander. There's no blessing and no glory in squandering. So the Joseph principle, the Joseph anointing, from preservation to legacy. Joseph's plans didn't just feed Egypt, it fed nations and it saved Israel. And it became the foundation for generational survival. What you are doing, what I'm doing, our finances today is not just about us. It's about our legacy. It's about our financial legacy. What are we going to leave for our children? And what are we going to leave for our children's children? And we may think today that we are just doing it for us, but we don't understand that whatever we do today and determine on how well we do it, in times to come, it will be a generational blessing. Just a little consistency and a little bit of discipline will manage to save and to feed generations to come. What a legacy to leave. That you have not just taken care of yourself, and if you have 1 or 2 children, but you will be able to take care of not just a generation by consistency, discipline, and wisdom, and managing your finances. You will be able to take care of generations. You will provide your children with the ability to go to school without debt, and your children's children. Your family's ability to weather financial storms. Your ministry's ability, if you have a ministry, to give generously. When you teach people and when you have to give, you don't have to beg people because you can give. People will give when they have. They don't need to be begged. They don't need to be coerced. They need to be tricked. They don't need to be asked to sow a seed so that God will move in their lives. They will be able to bless and be as they are blessed to be a blessing. It all begins with what you choose to do today, or what you are based on what you have been doing. If you have been doing it right, continue to do it right. But if you have not, choose today to save, to sow, and to store right now. You are the Joseph, or you may be the Joseph of your family, and your discipline today becomes their deliverance for tomorrow. So I want to challenge you. Don't waste your season of plenty on things that lose value. Invest in what builds value. Wisdom builds value. Assets, education, becoming financially literate, and purpose and destiny. Jesus said, gather up the fragments that nothing will be lost. That means even in miracles, God expects management, right? We are to be good stewards. So here's your faith and finance challenge for this week. Name your season. Are you in abundance, transition, or recovery? Open a Joseph account. Name it future fund or legacy account. Save something every time you get paid. Save before you spend. Automate 10 to, if you can, 5 to 10, if you can do 20. Start building reserve. 3 months of living expenses. Make that your first goal. Pray for wisdom. Ask God to show you what to do and what to store and how to sow. And remember, you don't need to have a lot to start. You just need to start with what you have. Because if you can't manage $100 wisely, $10,000 will only magnify your habits. So if you can't manage a little, you will not be able to manage a lot. And I know that you deserve a lot and you want a lot. So I hope this episode stirred something inside of you. Don't wait until the famine to wish you had prepared. Start now, save now, build now. Okay? So if you want to share this message with someone who might need it, and let's build wise, faithful financial families together. And so I bless you and I leave you with this word. I am filled with the wisdom of God, and I'm led to make wise and prosperous financial decisions. The Spirit of God guides me into all truth regarding my financial affairs. John 16 and 13. God bless you. I thank you so very much for joining me again for Legacy, Faith and Finance. All right. So where we, endeavor to align our lives and ourselves with the Word of God and our finances. So God bless you as you continue to build a financial legacy, something that you can leave for your children and your children's children. Because remember, the Word says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. God bless you. Until we see again next week. All right. Are you prepared? And if you're not, begin to prepare. Sow your seed. All right. Talk to you later. This is Michelle from Faith and Finance and author of Stop Being a Broke Christian. God bless you and have a wonderful week until we meet again.